Do you want to add wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto to your car? If you do, this might be just what you're looking for. The guys at One Car Stereo sent me this to review. It is their Smart AI box. Now, I don't normally bother too much with these product reviews. Quite a few brands reach out to people that have YouTube channels and ask them to review stuff. All sorts of weird and wonderful things. If you've been watching for quite a while, you'll remember when I reviewed a wireless doorbell and dressed it up as a pedestrian safety system for an EV by strapping it to my Kangoo EV. And yeah, there's all sorts you can do, I suppose. But people don't particularly want to see me review stuff. However, when a company comes to me with something that seems actually really useful, and particularly something that solves a problem that I have, I think it's worth doing. And so we have this Smart AI box from One Car Stereo. Now, my 2021 Renault ZOE has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available on its infotainment system. But the only problem with it is it's wired only. In order to make it work, you need to connect your phone up with a cable, which is fine. If you're making a long journey, you plug your phone in at the start, it'll be plugged in, it'll be charging for the whole journey, it's absolutely fine. But if you're just nipping down the road, but you still want your music and stuff from your phone via Spotify on Apple CarPlay, then it's a little bit of a pain to have to dig the cable out, plug in, and all that stuff. I'd much rather just get in, phone connects automatically, and Apple CarPlay launches automatically. That's what I'm used to in other cars, but the ZOE, like some others, doesn't have that wireless capability. My MG ZS EV was the same. You had to plug your phone in if you wanted to use CarPlay or Android Auto. And so enters the Smart AI box, One Car Stereo. I don't know why it's called the Smart AI box. I don't know where the AI piece comes into it. But what we have is a quite nicely packaged little box with some instructions. The box itself is little with a USB-C connector here and room for a micro SD card there, so I'm guessing you can perhaps play like videos and stuff or music on it by putting an SD card in it if you want to. Apart from that, in the box we have a couple of USB cables. Now what's quite good about this is we have USB-C to USB-C, so if you've got a more modern car that has USB-C ports on its dash, then you can use that. And you have a normal USB-A to USB-C cable as well, which is what we'll need for the ZOE. So we have two USB-A ports in the dash here. And this should just be a case of turning the car on and plugging this in. Now my phone isn't currently paired to the ZOE's infotainment system, which should mean that this is much easier. I think if the phone was paired, it would be a little bit more difficult. And you will have to excuse the state of the interior. It's not the cleanest at the moment. We plug this in. So that is then plugged in, and I guess like you could probably like stick this down or something so it was out of the way. The cable could actually maybe even be slightly shorter. But what we should then see is it will appear on here. And you can see it's now asking me to launch Apple CarPlay. So I want to do that. So again, essentially what we're doing here is the Smart AI box is simulating an Apple CarPlay device. And then you can connect your phone to that to access your own apps. So it said restart the screen calibration just then, so we're waiting on it doing its thing. So now that that's started up again, we have various apps on here. So we have this sort of weird interface on here, but I'm guessing what I do now is connect my phone to this, and that should mean that I get the pass-through Apple CarPlay on here. So in my Bluetooth devices, I'm obviously connecting to the Smart AI box instead of connecting to the car. That's now connected. And so now that I've connected my phone via Bluetooth to the smart AI box, I now have CarPlay on here as usual. So I've got Google Maps, I've got Spotify, I've got my phone, all that stuff. But the difference is it is now wireless. So if I get out of the car and get back in, it'll connect to that automatically and it'll work. So one of the other functionalities this has is actually you can pair the box to your phone for internet, so you can set up a personal hotspot on your phone, and then you can use like YouTube and Netflix and stuff on here. Now, I wouldn't recommend you do that whilst driving, and I think that unfortunately it probably looks like you could if you really wanted to. However, if you're sitting at a charging stop and you want to watch Netflix or YouTube on your screen in your car whilst you're doing so, that seems like quite a good feature. So now we have YouTube on here, and obviously I'm going to search for my own channel. Lands in an electric car. Quite a lot of you have watched the first video, and some of the comments have been quite interesting indeed. And despite me addressing it in the first video, we seem to be getting really hung up on the fact that I rented the car. And so I think you get the idea. So you've got other apps on here like Netflix, Disney Plus, and the Google Play Store is on here as well, so you can install additional apps onto here. I think all this stuff is a little bit secondary. I think some people might quite like all this, but for me, the wireless CarPlay is the main reason that I was interested in this at all. So that was a quick look at the smart AI box from One Car Stereo. I think it's a pretty cool bit of kit. For me, like I said, wireless CarPlay or wireless Android Auto would be the main feature that I'd be interested in with this. But the fact you actually have also got some Android apps natively on there, and you can add like YouTube and Netflix and stuff to your car screen, which aren't obviously normally available through Apple CarPlay, I'm guessing because they don't want you to try and watch videos while you're driving. Obviously, we'd never ever condone watching video content whilst you're driving your car. That's a very bad idea. But again, doing so whilst you're parked up at a charging point isn't a bad thing. There's a link in the description if you're interested in buying one of these, but if you're not, also very good. I thought that, like I said, the main reason I wanted to review this is because actually I was thinking about buying one of these things anyway for the Zoe to give it wireless CarPlay, and given I was offered one to review, I thought I would do that. So if you're not bothered, that's also absolutely fine, but I thought it was a pretty cool thing. It extends the functionality of your car, and it will be very useful. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know in the comments what you think of the Smart AI box by One Car Stereo, and I'll see you next time.